Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fate's Wide Wheel. I'm your host, Sam, and I am joined by the one and only JJ Lendl. JJ, welcome back to the show.
I am very happy to be back. It has been a while since I've spun the wide wheel of fate.
Indeed, it has. I am only happy to be able to say that though it's been a while since you've been on the show, it has not been a while since you and I have chatted. We've been able to keep up with one another in the in between times. How are you? How's life treating you?
Good, busy. I have my daughter just turned 5, and my son is a year and a half. If that gives you any indication of how busy I am on the family end of things, it's great. I work from home. I spend a lot of time with the kids, and so the last year has just been watching this little guy grow and watching his big sister, step up to the challenge of being a big girl, and then lots of fun work stuff in between. Things have been good. I am happy to be back on the pod, and you know, Robin, my son, he's getting to the point where he's rambunctious. He's running around. He's doing all these things, but he's also getting a little bit more independent. And so I'm remembering when Rose was getting to this stage, and I was able to sort of like do more things than I could when he was in sort of the infant stages in terms of work stuff. So I'm excited for that too.
Nice. Yeah, I remember those times well. That's about the same gap as between my son and my daughter. My daughter just turned 7 in July, and my son turned 4 in November. So, yeah, or October. What am I saying? We're in November now.
I won't
Time
tell him. I won't
is
tell him
just,
you
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
know his
Thank you.
birthday.
Well, it's October 25th, so it's right there. It's
Okay.
like a week later, and it would have been November. But no, I get that. I absolutely get that. Bedtimes for us have finally started to become something that they're a little bit more independent at. Like you're saying, it's easier to kind of like just put them in bed and say, hey, we're going to shut off the lights in 15 minutes, and they kind of do their own thing, and then we come back, and that is a new form of freedom, the likes of which I think I had long forgotten. So
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Rosie's there, Robin, he's a good sleeper. He really is a good sleeper. But he's not quite, I can't just like drop him in the crib and be like, adios, kid. You're
Right.
you're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someday.
Yes, it will happen, and it will be glorious. But you know what? As much as we love talking about our family, that's actually not what we're here to talk about today.
This isn't a parenting podcast
It should be, really. I don't know why it's not.
because we
With
have no information to give on parenting, probably.
Yeah, well, there is that. There is that, right? Just because we have kids doesn't make us experts.
Exactly.
We are actually here to do an art reveal for a little something that we're cooking up with Fandom Entanglement. Damon Chugamelli over at Fandom Entanglement asked if I wanted to take part in his Christmas episode, which is going to be the season 3, episode 12 of Sliders Seasons Greetings. And JJ was kind enough to not only ride shotgun for this episode, but also put his talents to work and create a new poster, some art for the episode, which we're super excited to share. Now, before we do that, we are going to actually have a full review episode that we'll release later. But before we actually show off this art, JJ, I would love to hear a little bit about your process in creating this piece, and then we'll kind of show it off. You can talk a little bit more about the specifics of it.
Sure. Well, like with most of the episode art pieces I do, whether it's for, X Files or Star Trek or Sliders, you know, I try to think of the episode and I try to find an angle for it. I like to work in sort of like retro styles. And so for this one, I was kind of inspired by vintage holiday cards, like old timey movie posters for the holidays. And so I took some inspiration from that. Reference materials are always key when working with actors likenesses. I found some great, actually, set photos as opposed to reference photos from the actual episode, which I was able to use to draw some portraits of the four main characters, and put it all together. Hour and a half, and there you are. I'm happy with the poster. I'm excited to be doing a poster for Sliders, which is a show that has been near and dear to my heart since I was, in middle school, watching it live on Fox and later on Sci-Fi. And so, yeah, I was really happy to get the invite to participate in the pod and to have a chance, really an excuse to make a poster for Sliders.
Well, I'm thrilled that you were able to do it because it's it's something. As soon as Damon kind of tossed out the invite to do this, I thought, well, I could do this solo. It would probably be short. It wouldn't be that interesting, or
I'm
I
sure
could,
it would have been very interesting.
or I could call up JJ, see what he's doing, and I mentioned to Damon that I might do that, and Damon was like, well, if he wanted to do any art, and I thought, Damon, you old son of a gun. Uh, and so naturally, I was like, hey, if you wanted to do some art. So without further ado, so there you go.
Hey,
Look at
there we
that.
go.
Amazing. Sliders presents Seasons Greetings episode review. You got the little Fates Wide Wheel logo, the Studio JJ logo, Fandom Entanglement logo. It's like everything just coming together. But now that we're looking at this, first of all, I love the color palette that you chose. I just think it like you said, there's that old time greeting card element that is obvious there. Even the style of the kind of the sketching and everything. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the color palette, and then the actual illustration that you've done on the characters?
Sure. And again, like finding like a mood board for these kind of projects and looking at actual vintage stuff from the time as inspiration is really important. So a lot of times I will start with like a concept of the color combinations that I wanted to do. Definitely like a red and a green. And then I like the idea of having, sort of a vintagey beige backdrop, but then I also wanted to integrate some nice cool blue for like a winter feeling. And so I actually went through some vintage cards and I found some colors that I liked and I sourced them from those, and then brought them into the design. And, in terms of the portraits, I wanted to keep them loose, like you said, to be, sort of, illustrative of the era I was going for. Just some, you know, very simple sketches, simple line work, and then using a brush to color in again, that keeping the palette very simple. Because if this was a vintage, greeting card from like the 1950s or the 1960s, they would be using like a large palette. Like you wouldn't have all of these different color combinations. They would try to keep it very simple, and so I try to emulate that. One of those things that are it might be subconscious for the person looking at it, in terms of like it feeling genuine, but something that I try to focus on.
Yeah, I think that really comes across, and I love the overall kind of retro vibe of it. I mean, the episode itself takes place in present day-ish, obviously, because that's the conceit of Sliders. But there is something almost very retro futuristic about this floating mall in the sky, kind of vibe that we're
Yes.
given in the first place. And I think that carries over to your depiction of that, of course, in those buildings, kind of having almost that Jetsons vibe in a
Yes.
way. And then, of course, I love what you've done with not only including the dollar signs in the snowflakes, but also making that D in greetings a nice, bold green to pop out and remind us of the color of money.
Money, money,
Uh,
money. Yeah, I played a little bit with the idea of having the title treatment feature that, and then maybe one of the S's is green and it has the line through it, so it's a dollar sign. But
sure.
it's too busy. It wasn't working and it wasn't as legible, so I just tried to keep it simple and give a nod to the themes of the episode with that switch out of the T and the D.
I think it works perfectly, and I think that you hit it right there. Is that the letter itself is already switched out, right, just for the titling of the episode, and by kind of emphasizing that with that color, it works really well. And of course, we're also in luck because red and green are the colors of Christmas. So now
There you
it's just
go.
yeah, it's a really great piece of art. I think you've done a fantastic job, and it's
Thanks,
funny.
Sam.
we spoke about this on a Thursday night, and then by Saturday morning, you sent me this picture, and I was sitting next to Jessica at the time, and I just showed it to her, and I was like, "We talked about this on Thursday night, and now he's sending me this." I mean, that's pretty spectacular.
Well,
So
that's
yeah,
nice of you to say. I do what for projects like this. If it's not like client based, if it's a personal project or an episode poster, I try to spend, you know, from start to finish, like no more than like 2 hours on it.
yeah.
And that's just sort of like I come up with a concept and I just roll with it and I see where it takes me. Usually it works out well. Sometimes I do not hit that 2 hour goal, but
Sure,
the
sure.
more I do it, the more I feel like I hit that goal, which is
Well,
which
yeah, I
is
mean,
something.
'cause even in the Quantum Leap days, I know there were plenty of times when you wouldn't see those episodes early or anything like that. You'd be just going off of a trailer or a synopsis or some screen grabs here and there that were shared around prior to the episode airing, and you'd still turn out some high quality stuff. And then luckily, you got to see some of the episodes before they aired, so you were able to you know amp that up even more. But I've
Yes, and I
always
have to thank you for that. In many cases,
well,
yes,
all credit to Dean Georgeris and the wonderful people at the Universal Media Group.
yes,
But yeah, I love this, and I can't wait to talk about the episode, which we will, of course, be doing shortly. But in the meantime, just thought it'd be wonderful to kind of tease that, to show off this artwork, and get people hyped for Fandom Entanglement's Sliders Christmas episode, which will be dropping in mid-December. And we're gonna go away now. I'm gonna hit stop on this, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the episode. So JJ, once again, thank you so much for sharing your talents. Thank you for doing this. I think I can safely speak for Damon, and he's certainly thanking you as well, because this is just once again high quality work and a wonderful way to kind of celebrate this episode, celebrate the season, and share some wonderful art with Sliders fans across the globe.
yes, and to celebrate the holiday season, not this season of Sliders, because this season of Sliders, it's not the
Yeah.
best season of Sliders, folks.
No, that's a great point. In fact, I think we should go talk about that. We should go talk about
Let's
that
do it.
right now. All right,
Let's do it.
folks. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fate's Wide Wheel with this little poster tease. We'll be coming back very, very soon, and make sure you check out again the Christmas episode of Fandom Entanglement, which will not only feature our thoughts on season's greetings, but a slew of other podcasters' thoughts on the episode as well. And of course, you'll also be able to find the season greetings review episode on the Fates Wide Wheel channel featuring JJ Lendl and myself. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, stay safe out there, and always, always slide responsibly.